Hello, my name is Jordan Bell with the I'm a Star Foundation, and today we are here with Dr. Carlton Robinson talking about cryptocurrency.
Recap. So we always want to start with a recap because we want to make sure, okay, what did we take away from our time together last week?
Now, I would just like to know, why do you come to I'm a Star and teach us about cryptocurrency? What motivates you to help the kids?
I would say number one is Miss Bernie. I've been here in the Jacksonville community for over 20 years. And when she was working with the school board, she created some opportunities for me just to have a voice, and always believe in just kind of giving back to your community. And a little over a year ago, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 of the boys that were working on an app. And so Ms. Bernie had reached out to me and asked would I speak with them. And so we started with that, and I think we met almost every month. They would come to the chamber. We worked on value proposition, the business model, how they could pitch, and they really did a great job just developing the app. And it was a lot of fun, getting to know them a little bit better. And I think, one of the reasons I was so invested in that process is because they reminded me of myself when I was that age. And so that was kind of the genesis of us actually getting here. And then I had mentioned to Miss Bernie that we were doing some pilots with adults in cryptocurrency at the chamber, and that I would like to, if she had a few more kids in the summertime, that I would be willing to come out and spend some time with them and help educate on cryptocurrency. And she was really excited about that, and she helped make it happen. And so that's a big reason why I'm here.
Okay, that's great. What got yourself into cryptocurrency? What made you start learning about it yourself?
I would say that I'm a part of the Geek Squad, right, which is okay. And I've had a computer since I was like 9 years old, and that's always been a big part of my life, doing different things with computers. And maybe about 5 years ago, I started experimenting with blockchain and learning as much as I could about it. And then I built my own blockchain network to kind of test some different use cases. In that process, I've met a lot of different people. I'm always learning, always being educated, and I wasn't really a believer in cryptocurrency in the beginning. However, the more I learned about it, and I learned all these different use cases, that it was more than just something that would replace the dollar. So a lot of people think we're going to use crypto instead of using the dollar, and there's hesitation around that. I learned that there's a lot more to it. And the more I learned about it, the more excited I got about it. And then last year I was asked to come and speak down in Tampa at the first Bitcoin and blockchain conference in the state of Florida. And the things that I had to share just about what I learned, people were excited about it. And I was like, wow. I was kind of surprised by that, because this is all stuff that I was learning myself. And then I realized that I needed to kind of share what I was learning, and started doing different pilots. And that's my foundation, just trying to be better and learn more and share that with other people.
Do you change the way that you explain things to teenagers when you're explaining cryptocurrency?
Okay, so this is what, and I've shared with a lot of people, this project, working with you guys, is one of the most rewarding projects I've ever had. A big reason why is because I have 2 sons, and they were in the first half of the sessions. They'll be back on Wednesday. But I can be very technical when I'm talking about this, but I ran everything by my sons. And so they would say, no, that's too much. Or no one's going to get it. So before I would have a session with you guys, they would have gone through everything that we went through and told me, take that out, you should try this. And I think one example was when we were doing the budgets, and I said the word mortgage. So my son was like, what is a mortgage? I have no idea what a mortgage is. And I was like, oh man, okay. So the answer would be yes. So for the adults, like we assume so many things, but what was so awesome about this is I actually had to check in with my sons to find out how to best present to you guys. So,
do you think cryptocurrency will replace money at some point in time?
I do not think that cryptocurrency will fully replace the way that we transact today. And I think in maybe our second or third session, we talked about spending cashlessly, right? And so if we think back 100 years ago, people actually had, bags of coins that they would walk around and pay for things. And then there was an introduction of dollar bills. Some people still had the coins, some had the dollar bills. Then there was the introduction of the credit card. And then we had the credit card, the dollar bills, and the coins. Less people use coins the further out we go. And so then we went from credit card to debit card, then from debit card to Cash App. And now we're saying there's this other element, which would be cryptocurrency. So if we have, 4 or 5 ways to spend and pay cashlessly, very few people are going to be 100% in any of those areas. So I think we'll have a variety of ways that we can pay, but I think the cash system will always be around, but maybe less people will use it.
Right. So it's all about the evolution of money and how it's being put into different forms.
Yes.
Has there been any questions from the kids that surprised you the most?
I would say no questions that surprised me the most. I would say individual aha moments, right, that made me really, really proud. That we were exchanging information and people were kind of capturing the knowledge. So each week we would start the session with what did we remember from last week? And that was so rewarding because it was like I could see the energy level and people were excited to say, this is what I remember. And then before each session ends, we kind of go around and we say, okay, what was your takeaway from the session? And each time everyone said, okay, this is what I took away, even though it was a little bit different. It just kind of showed that we had the right approach in terms of being engaged in different exercises. I would say the one thing that really stood out to me would be when we had the budget exercise. And lots of people kind of talked about, I want to be, an artist, or I want to be this, or I want to be this profession. And then when we had the cards to see how much money those professions made, and they realized they couldn't pay their bills, they were like, well, wait a minute. Maybe that's a hobby. I want to have this.
Like, I know I was struggling to pay my bill. I was getting hand-me-downs and everything.
So that was, I thought that was really, really good because what that showed is, at a young age, you're able to kind of capture, I need to think about having a job or a career where I can actually pay my bills. And then I would say the second one, which I'm all about creating a really good learning experience. The second one I thought was when we were making payments on the banking simulator. And the one thing that stood out to me is as we were going through this, how many kids at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old get an opportunity to see a bank account that has $6,000-$7,000 in it. And a few people were like, oh, I got enough money to pay all my bills. Like, just understanding and hearing that made me realize most people don't see that, right? And so to see that and to have the ability to make payments, and everyone talked about, how challenging that was, and that you didn't know that this is what our parents do every single month, and that it's a little bit harder than what we thought. That was probably one of my favorite sessions, kind of confirming that, this is good for all of us.
Like, I know with our first session, I was very pleased with the budgeting. I feel like that was probably my favorite lessons out of all of them, because that's not something that they teach us in school. None of this is. So when you have this information and it was put in front of me, I was like, oh wow, maybe I have to get another job, or I have to make ends meet, because they don't show you this stuff when you get out in the real world either. So I feel like it's very beneficial, and I really do thank you for what you do. But can you talk about how this is the first cryptocurrency being taught at I'm a Star kids from Jacksonville?
Yeah, so, again, I would point back to my sons. So my oldest son, he is a freshman at USF, where he just finished up his first year. And when I talked to him about this, he told me the same thing that you did. He was like, they don't teach us this in school. He was like, a few elements of it, but not this way. And everyone should have access to this. And I thought it was really important, for us to be first in something here in Jacksonville. And again, a lot of that is going to be built on, relationships. And I think what's really unique and what makes this possible through the I'm a Star Foundation is that the organization has a relationship with all of the kids that are here. So for me, this is a safe and structured environment to come in, and the majority of the kids are interested in the topic and engaged. And so that made for the perfect environment to have this first pilot. And if we were to do this again and to scale it in other places, we would look at the I'm a Star Foundation as kind of the model, for us, to execute. If we just did this randomly, it would be much different. I think the quality of the students here is much higher than if we just randomly picked people. So, we're kind of starting out at the top in terms of the way that things should be. And so once I knew that, there was a relationship with the students, it made it pretty easy for me to do this. One of my questions to you would be, what impact would you say getting to understanding cryptocurrency, what impact would this whole process have on you as a student?
The way the school system is set up is you learn a little bit of budgeting here and a little bit of budgeting there, and then some schools don't even offer those classes at all. So when you came here and you talked to us about cryptocurrency and budgeting, and then gave us visual representations of what's going on in the world, I feel like it really did set me up and put me further ahead than most of my classmates would be in life. Because now I don't have to figure these things out as I go. The information is already readily available to me. So I just feel like it's really just a blessing that you really came in here and took time out of your day and taught us about all of this, because everybody in this room, even if they don't know it now, this is really going to benefit them when they move out, when they go to college, or whatever they're planning to do. You put a huge impact on everybody in this room who is listening's life. And I just can't explain enough how much value you have taught us all with saving money and budgeting, or you might not want to do this, or you might not want to take this loan out, or you might not want to invest in this, or you might want to invest in this more than you would this. It's really just truly, like, I can't explain how grateful I am to you.
Good. My last question, I could have a lot, but I'll say my last question would be, what was your biggest takeaway from our conversation when we were talking about our life if we're banked versus unbanked?
My biggest takeaway is that you should always have somewhere to put your money into. You should always at least have one bank account, and you should always do your research when putting your money into that bank account, seeing if you could collect interest, or seeing how much rates go up or how they differ, or if you could start a 401k. All of those things are just very important, and it does have a lot of value and impact on it also.
Okay. Well, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to come in and share, with you guys. And it was just amazing to be a part of that learning process with you, and for you guys to take a lot away. And so I want to say thank you to the Armor Foundation, and especially Miss Bernie. Okay, relationships are so important, and thank you for being amazing. You got a bright future ahead of you.
I want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and for our viewers, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back.